like 2 games.
Welcome back to BuffSports Live on a frightful Friday. As the temperatures go down, apparently, so does the skill of our sports teams.
Ouch! Looks like the bitterness isn't just outside today, Colin. But we've got a full plate for you today, so sit down, relax, and get ready for the best Friday afternoon meal. It's time for BuffSports Live. But Colin, first, we have to talk about the thing.
We have to talk about what?
The game.
What game?
The game against Oregon last Friday.
Whoa. Flag on the play, Vinay. Full story.
Oh, I'm sorry, Colin. But the funny thing is, I think the Buffaloes had about 6 false starts for that game against Oregon.
And if Colorado is going to beat Oregon, who's 13th coming into this game, they have to do everything perfectly, and the Buffs weren't even close.
Oregon scored 45 points. That's the most they've scored so far this year. The quarterback, Justin Herbert, threw for over 250 yards in that game.
And Steven Montez probably had one of his worst games in years. He threw 4 interceptions, and the Buffs just managed a field goal.
Well, obviously, after that game, they have a lot to work on, especially cleaning up those penalties. And Mel Tucker told reporters how he wants to fix that issue.
Come over to the mountain, I would. Yeah. No, you do. You don't make wholesale changes, because, we emphasize discipline and being accountable and attention to detail, every day. But you do have to make some changes, and you want to make changes that you think are going to make a difference, are going to be effective.
Looking forward to this Saturday, the Buffs are headed to Washington State to face the Cougars. Both teams will go into the game with 3 wins and 3 losses. The Cougars had a strong start to the season, but since then, they've lost 3 games in a row. Mel Tucker talked about how tough it will be to face the Washington State offense.
It's the pure air raid. It's not like a version of the air raid. It's the real air raid. So, they really have it down to a science, and they have a quarterback that can run it. He can run the offense. He knows how it works. And so, it puts a lot of pressure on your defense. And so,
Well, Steven Montez also looked forward to this game, talking about how the Buffs will prevent another slide like the one they had last season.
Yeah, I think you just avoid that by going in and working every single day in practice, coming in hard, coming in with the right mentality, and just putting your work in, putting your time in. I think that definitely combats like losing control and kind of spiraling out of control, like a little bit like we did last year. So, from what we had yesterday and today, dudes are focused, dudes are locked in. Everyone's really excited to play Washington State, get another opportunity to play football. So we're excited, and hopefully we'll make the most out of it.
Colin, there is some good news for the football team. The Buffaloes made headlines on the recruiting trail. Wide receiver Brendan Rice committed to CU on his Twitter account on Tuesday. Now, if you recognize the last name, he's the son of Hall of Famer and the NFL Network's best football player, Jerry Rice. The 6'2", 204-pound wideout had offers from teams like Michigan, Arizona State, and California before deciding to come here. The son of one of the greats. Wow. And from a future Buff, we're moving to a forever Buff. Former Colorado and Denver Bronco offensive lineman Justin Bannon was arrested on Wednesday for a shooting that left a woman injured here in Boulder. Bannon was booked into the Boulder County Jail, and he's been charged with attempting first-degree murder, first-degree assault, and first-degree burglary. And to make matters worse, police found a rolled-up $20 bill with a white powdery residue which tested positive for cocaine. His bail has been set for $500,000.
Both basketball teams had their media days this Wednesday. Tad Boyle took the podium beginning his 10th season as the head coach of Colorado basketball. Boyle says he feels honored to come to work every day, and previously he said that the Buffalo's job was his dream job. As for the team this season, Boyle says he has expectations to make the NCAA tournament every season, but this season's a little different.
I always go into the season, with an expectation level. And this year I'd be lying if I said my expectation level wasn't a little bit higher than maybe it has been in years past. So I don't look at it as pressure. Pat, I look at it as an expectation level and a standard that we've tried to set for this program, and our players understand it as well. But
The women's basketball team's expectations aren't as high. They were picked to finish last in a loaded Pac-12 for women's basketball. But as always, Coach J.R. Payne is optimistic. Take a listen.
Well, I mean, always. I don't feel any external pressure from anyone, to climb. But there's no one that puts any more pressure on themselves than I do, for myself, for our team. But I really do feel like we have a great opportunity ahead of us based on our personnel, the number of returners, the cohesiveness of our team, and then just the fact that we have way more veterans than we've had.
Blink, blink, blink. We'll stay with basketball for our trivia question. This week we're asking you, the Buffaloes haven't played in the NCAA tournament since 2016. That season, who did they lose to in the first round? That answer later in the show. Colin, I've got a bonus trivia question for you. When was the last time the women's team made it to the NCAA tournament?
I'm not sure.
Well, the answer is 2013. Where were you in 2013?
Probably
High school?
Maybe high
middle
school.
school?
Maybe. I think it was in 8th grade.
It's been a while. Anyway, when we come back, we'll tell you about how the soccer and volleyball teams are doing. Spoiler, it's not great.
They were nervous and inexperienced, as new faces looking to achieve greatness. As the years went on, they grew confident in their abilities.
Maybe. Yes, sir!
Now they look to guide others in the same pursuit.
There it is! Can you believe it?
All are welcome to be featured on the biggest stage.
Is it its time?
We invite you to discover what you're capable of at BuffSports Live.
An artist, I'm not, but I am the voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson, and you're watching Buff Sports Live.
This week has been super exciting for any baseball fans out there. The ALCS between the Houston Astros and the New York Yankees has been full of twists and turns, and we can be sure that the rest of the series will be just as fun. But the real story here is the Washington Nationals. For the entirety of the NLCS, the Nationals were never trailing. That is the definition of domination, coming from a team that was not expected to make it past the first round of the playoffs. Actually, no one expected the Nationals to make the playoffs at all. Historically, the Nationals have been irrelevant. Even this year, they started out as a terrible team. Way back on May 25th, Baseball Reference gave them a 0.1% chance of winning the NL pennant. Everyone seemed to expect this after the Nationals lost Bryce Harper to the Phillies this year. Last year, Harper seemed to be the only good thing about the Nationals. He also considered himself to be the best on the team, and the way he played showed it. Although he was not on a winning team, he played very selfishly and pompously. Then he signed a record-breaking contract for 13 years and $330 million with the Phillies this year. With this, everyone wrote off the Nationals as irrelevant. But now, with Bryce Harper and his ego no longer holding them back, the Nationals are headed to the World Series. And Harper, despite his massive contract, did not even make the All-Star game this year, and his team finished second to last in the NL East. So the Nationals, no matter what happens next, are a story of redemption. They've triumphed over a ton of obstacles, and I'll be rooting for them in the World Series. As for everyone out there who doesn't like baseball or thinks it's boring, I'm here to tell you that you are wrong. There is no doubt that baseball is exciting and dramatic, especially considering the national story. I'm looking forward to a legendary World Series, but most of all, I will be looking forward to a better season for the Colorado Rockies next year. Back to you guys.
Well, the soccer team just lost their third straight game, this time to the USC Trojans. Colorado lost 2-1 in Southern California last Sunday. Despite the loss, the team feels like they're on their way back up. Senior goalie Jalen Tompkins had a season-high 11 saves in the game. They hope to change the tides tomorrow at home against Arizona State.
That game against Arizona State starts a 3-game homestand where Colorado will play ASU, Stanford, and Cal. The Buffs have had a rough couple of weeks, bringing in 3 consecutive losses, and look forward to the single-game match week to have some time to recover.
Yeah, they'll need it. Meanwhile, the women's volleyball team also struggling. They've had 2 straight losses to USC and UCLA in their opening Pac-12 home weekend. After dropping the first set to Southern Cal, they split the next 2 and dropped the fourth to lose 3 sets to 1. Justine Spann had a career night with 25.5 points, her new best along with 18 kills. Sunday, Colorado dropped all 3 sets in a clean sweep to UCLA. The Buffs fell to 0-6 in Pac-12 play, and they're just 8-8 on the season.
For a volleyball team that's been struggling in the Pac-12 schedule, it's about to get worse. Colorado will go to California for their 2 toughest matches this season against Stanford and Cal. Both teams are ranked in the top 15, but if the Buffs win, it will look good on their resume for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, the NCAA tournament's a ways away. I think if you're Jesse Mahoney, you just want to win 1 game right now.
You know what I'm focused on, Vinay?
What are you focused on? Not sweating? Don't worry. I brought you a towel so we could clean you off during the break.
Maybe a melting pot culture isn't what we should be cooking anymore. Real diversity means recognizing and enjoying each color and flavor.
How dare you disrespect me like that? Do I look like a commingled container to you?
No, you're not real.
The cross-country teams are on their way to the NCAA Pre-Nationals in Terre Haute, Indiana. The races will start tomorrow. Both Colorado cross-country teams are ranked 3rd in the nation. The men and the women will run early tomorrow morning, and we'll know all of the results tomorrow by noon. Hey, a good team here at CU.
We're showing the tennis team some love as the Colorado women's tennis team brought home a pair of double wins at the Husky Invitational this past Sunday. The invite started out rough as the double teams were 0-4 against the University of Idaho, but the pairs of Tulua Farrow and Sophia Duravan and Kai Ekton and Antonia Balzer eventually brought home the dub. Proud of them.
I'm proud of him too. You know who else I'm proud of? Forever Buff Mason Crosby. He's got ice in his veins. He nailed the 23-yard game winner on Monday Night Football, and on the big stage, he pushed the Packers to a 23-22 win, even though there was some controversial help from the referees, a few favorable calls for the Packers down the stretch. But that's besides the point, because not only did Crosby help the Packers get to 5-1 on the season and keep a 1-game lead in the NFC North, he also helped Colin's fantasy team get to 4-2. And in Packer tradition, Mason Crosby celebrated the game winner by doing the Lambeau leap into the cheering arms of Packer fans. What a moment for our Forever Buffalo. Whoa, Colin, you're still sweating a ton.
Yeah, but it's not because I'm nervous. It's just really hot, man.
Oh, you know why? It's rapid fire. It's coming up next.
Not being aware of your surroundings. Not seeing what's right in front of you. Putting your life at risk. Is it worth it?
Texting and walking. It's just not worth it.
We're back now, and as our fall sports are cooling down, we at Buff Sports Live, we're still red hot.
Here's Jess Sandvik with Rapid Fire.
Hi there, I'm Jess Sandvik, and things sure are heating up with the Buffs. The CU football team will be playing against Washington State on Saturday at 5 p.m. With a tied history, hopefully the Buffs will pull through this weekend and break their 2-year losing streak against the Cougars. In an interview with the Denver Post, Mel Tucker spoke that he is focusing on improving each individual player in order to increase the success of the whole team. Tucker stated, "We're working on our issues. You can either fix it with a change in personnel or through some type of drill work." Make sure to tune in tomorrow at 5 p.m. on ESPU. Women's volleyball will be competing against Stanford later this evening and Berkeley later on Sunday. With 6 losses in a row, there is nothing like the present to start winning some games. Women's soccer has a 3-game homestand and will be playing against Arizona State this Saturday at 1 p.m. The game will sure be a hit with the scores all over the place between these two teams. Make sure to tune into the Pac-12 network. Well, we are wrapping things up here with Rapid Fire. I'm Jess Sandvik. Back to you in the studio.
Now it's time to answer that trivia question.
Yeah, remember we asked you, when was the last time the basketball team played in the NCAA tournament, and who did they lose to in the first round?
Drum roll, please. The answer is the Yukon Huskies. The Huskies went on to lose to the first-seeded Kansas in the second round.
And oh boy, here we go. My favorite thing, it's our tweet of the week this week from Henry Chisholm. It's Mel Tucker and his sweet moves as he fires up the crowd at Broncos Stadium.
Oh yeah, I love a good Tucker twirl. Coach Tucker was trying to get the Broncos crowd hyped before their Thursday night football game against the Chiefs. And if there's one thing we know about Coach Tucker, it's that he knows how to fire people up.
Yeah, maybe that's the problem with the false starts. Maybe the players are just too fired up. That's why they're jumping off.
They just want to hit
them.
them.
Yeah. You know what? After this show, you might want to hit me after all of those sweating jokes. But anyway, it's time for the end of our show.
We hate to say it, but it's been a good one. See you next week.
We hate to say it's been a good one. Bye, guys.